as a country, we are embarrassed. I don't believe we are embarrassed.
They served us at the highest levels.
So they should be allowed to do as they please.
The international media is talking about it. Then they are talking about Ghana, fugitives from justice.
How will we put it? We don't care. This is about us. It's about time that we put us first before we put anybody else. And this is about us. I think that we shouldn't worry whether it's an embarrassment that people have been, as for Sedina, she has been judged to have committed a crime. And asking her to come back and serve her sentence is good for us as a people, for people to see that crime doesn't pay. You understand? It is good for the government to show that even our own, if you fall foul of the law, you will be punished. It is good for the legacy of His Excellency John Dramani to show that in his time, there was zero tolerance, irrespective of whether you're a family member or not. And the fact that you punish a family member for wrongdoing doesn't mean that you hate them. It's a deterrent for other people to see. If we don't start punishing the political elite, then we should forget about the people down there, because they look up to the political elite to show the way, to show direction. And if the political elite are going to get away with all sorts of things, then the people down there are going to say, but really, what gives? I mean, we will do as we please. And a lot of the indiscipline and corruption you see in our society is because the political elite seem to be getting away with corruption. So we don't care whether it's an embarrassment. I don't know who is embarrassed, because basically, I think that if you called 10 Ghanaians off the street and asked them that, is it okay that somebody who has been deemed to be corrupt has taken the money of poor women, of people who are struggling to put food on their table, has taken the money and wantonly used it for whatever, is being punished? Are you embarrassed that the person is coming home and it is in the news? I'm sure they'll say no. You understand? And we don't care what other people say. So for me, it's not an embarrassment at all. I think that we need to do this. We need to show that we are not going to tolerate corruption, and it is not business as usual. So I'm not. With Ken Ofori-Atta, maybe it's an embarrassment to himself, because if he actually feels that he is innocent of all the things that he's being charged with, I think it's 70-something, another 78 counts or so. And
in Sedina's case too, there were 78 charges.
78 seems to be the magic word, or magic number.
Actually, I had forgotten about that number. I thought in her case, the charges were actually more. But it does appear that both 78
we seem to be fixated with the 78. But I think that, if he cares a lot about his reputation, he will come and let the truth, or whatever the truth may be, come up. You understand?
Well, now it looks like, voluntary return may not be an option anymore. It may be too late.
Yeah. So why is it an embarrassment to us? I mean, why should we be embarrassed for somebody to come and answer for his tenure of office? You understand? I'm very sure that there are even MPP people who want him to come back.
Some have made comments so far, and they are saying that the party should be calling him to come.
Yeah, so it helps. It helps their own reputation to say that, okay, we even asked for him to come back, and if they actually believe that he's innocent of all the charges against him, he should come and prove.
But that call may be too late in the day, because it may only be relevant if he's facing eyes only for the immigration process, and he succeeds in the immigration process and he stays back. But if this terminates in his deportation, it is not your call that makes any difference, because he's coming anyway.
So we would hope that the ice that we see now is not the ice that used to be of yesterday. This is a totally different ice. You get it. And if they think that, well, go to your country and go and answer to charges. I mean, this is a country now that goes into another country, pulls the president out and says, we are bringing you to our country to charge you and try you for all sorts of drugs, etc., all sorts of crimes. You understand? If they, in the same turn, decide that there's a country who has determined that somebody should come and answer for their crimes, they are going to keep that person. They will be speaking on both sides of their mouth. You understand? It won't go with the current era of what is going on in America. You understand? So I am hoping that ICE will be the ICE that we see now and say, go and answer to your charges.
Right.
Okay.
So those will be your preliminary comments. Prof.
Yeah, this is very interesting, Samson. I mean,
hold on. I hear we have a little issue with your microphone. So let's go to Vickie Bright.
Okay. Where do I even begin? Well, we know that from what we've been told by the Foreign Affairs Minister, the U.S. has assured Ghana of non-interference with the deportation, but without prejudice to the ongoing judicial processes. So we know that. So whatever happens, the U.S. is going to allow deportation if the judicial processes lead to deportation.
Right.
It's a bit sad that a former minister of this country has allowed himself to be branded as an illegal alien. I think that's unfortunate because we expect better of the people who we nominate into the highest offices of this nation. So going back to the first question that you put to Susan, I think it's embarrassing. I think it's embarrassing because, quite apart from the personal embarrassment, I think it's not a good place for us to be in terms of having someone who has held one of the highest offices in this country to be in the situation that he finds himself in. And as we've been told again from the embassy, it's been treated as a special case, precisely because of the position that he occupied formerly. So whether we like it or not, there's a Ghana angle there, and it's just not a good look. So for me, I feel it's the right direction of travel for the government to be going after people who are deemed to have done certain things which they need to come back to explain to the people of Ghana because they were custodians of, in Ken's case, a custodian of, our public purse. And I think for all public office holders, you must now know, even if it's trite, even if it's something that you knew before, that from the minute you sit in that office, you are accountable to the people of Ghana for whatever it is that you are superintending over, because it's not yours, it's ours, And so you should be prepared to account for it, whether during your tenure or after your tenure, without being seen to be running away from that responsibility. Accountability to the people of Ghana in public office is non-negotiable. And if you are not prepared to be accountable, then don't hold the office, because nobody forces anybody to hold public office. The president will offer it to you, and then you are free to say, thank you, Excellency, or no, I think this is too much for me. I'm not prepared to allow this kind of public scrutiny and intrusion into, encroachment into my personal life. So please, thank you.
You almost always will lose your privacy.
You will lose your privacy. And so you cannot eat your cake and have it. You cannot hold public office and say, but this one, dear, no, it's not acceptable. So if you can't do it, don't take the position, period. Right. So for me, it is sad. It is the other side of the embarrassment is the FBI's involvement. I mean, we thought it was just a simple immigration matter. The FBI, I mean, they deal with federal offenses. And given the way the U.S. is structured, there are states, the states is actually almost self-contained, if you like. And so there are state offenses and there are federal offenses. So if the FBI is involved, it makes one very worried that, I mean, why should the FBI be, because ICE, they have the power to arrest, they have the power to detain, they have the power to go to court to do their own representation, and they have the power to deport once they get that final deportation order from a court over there. So why the FBI? So that is a big question mark. And I guess it's unfolding, and these are preliminary comments, so I'll park my comments here.
But why should that come to you as a surprise that FBI may be involved? For a person that the Attorney General has told us that has been under investigation by the Office of the Attorney General, and the Attorney General has had, interactions with U.S., Department of Justice officials. There are offshore dealings that are also under his microscope. And then before the Attorney General came into office, we had the OSP, which was also doing its investigations, which this minister was involved, not only this minister, with his aide, who is also, Ghanaian and U.S. citizen, who we are also looking to return. And they have filed an extradition process for them to be brought back to the country. In fact, a red alert or notice was issued, which I think is the one that prevented Ken Ofori-Atta from traveling around the place, even though he had valid visas for other countries, including the UK. Right. So why are you surprised?
Because, the offshore element is something that came as a surprise to us. Not entirely, because obviously, if you are, and I'm not saying Ken is guilty because I'm not a court of competent jurisdiction. I'm not a juror on any matter, but if you have the kind of financial nous that he has, and you are minded to hide money, then of course you will do it offshore. So from that point of view, it's not entirely surprising that they were looking offshore as well, if they believed that he may or may not have committed certain offenses.
Okay.
But to hear that this is actually something that's being investigated, that international investigators are involved, and I mean, that takes it to a whole different level.
Right.